So this is a video for a matchup guide for Kalista. So I guess I should add this as an extension to my Kalista guide video. And this is a great time to make it because a support champion is being released. Rell, I made a video on her. She's pretty cool. Yes, I didn't play her, but I played her with Kalista and god, the champion's pretty fun. So this is gonna be a guide about what champions are good or bad versus Kalista. How favorable the matchup is for Kalista. So if it's S tier, that means Kalista literally just completely counters the champion. And D tier means the champion is too strong, it's really difficult for Kalista to win. We should do the other way around. No, S is Kalista counters the champion, D is that champion counters Kalista. So these are all the champions. Now, I'm not going to talk about Kalista mirror matchups because that's not possible in ranked. I'm not going to talk about weird ADCs which could be a thing like Ziggs ADC or Kindred, Yone, Yasuo. I'm not going to talk about stuff which, okay, I'm going to talk about Yasuo because Yasuo ADC is kind of a thing. Yone, Ziggs, Xayah, what others? Rengar, Ivern, for example. I'm not going to talk about those types of ADCs, mostly traditional ADCs, and Swain because Swain for some reason is being played as ADC. So, to begin, let's just get the hardest matchups over with because we all know that there's... Oh wait, no. S is for easy for Kalista, D is hard for Kalista. S is easy. I'll just rename these. Okay, I'm done labeling. So yeah, Kalista 100% of the time just loses to Ashe. Maybe if you have a really good support and Ashe is a really bad support and a really bad jungler, you could win, but overall, Ashe is really annoying to face. I do not recommend playing Kalista against Ashe. Draven, you also pretty much lose against because Eclipse champions are just stronger. Sure, Eclipse is getting nerfed soon, but overall it's not that good for Kalista because like Draven is just very strong in the early game. His E slows, his W gives him movement speed to catch up to you. And Draven is usually played with a very early game strong ADC. I mean support, so there's not much you can do against Draven in the early game. I guess you can just try to outscale him, but knowing Draven could be pretty difficult. The same goes to Samira, Misfortune, and yeah, Tristana. These are all champions which pretty much counter Kalista. Misfortune is just really strong early game, same for Tristana. Samira is also really strong. So any early game strong champion will probably just ruin Kalista. There's not much you can do about it. Misfortune's harder because her E is very strong slow, and if you're slowed, you attack slower as well. Tristana's W also slows, and it's such a huge gap closer, you can't really run from it. Samira just has W to deal with like range supports if you have a range support on your side. So if you have like a melee non-hook support like Taric or Alistar, then Samira can't do much, but otherwise Samira just wins really easily. I'll actually put Samira in enemy favored because it depends on your support. And that's pretty much all the ADCs who you're gonna have a really rough time against. Yasuo, I guess you'd have a rough time against as well. There's not much you can do against his win wall, and he's too mobile. He can actually catch up to you in the early game. I'm not sure if I should. I'll put him. I'll put him at the end here. This is if it's in the left side, it's stronger. If it's on the right side, it's weaker. So Yasuo's the weakest. I'll put like Draven here. Misfortune. I'll put it like this. Yeah, that's good. Because Misfortune's items got nerfed, like Collector and Eclipse. So Misfortune's gonna be a little weaker as well. Lucian's also difficult, but I'm gonna put him in enemy favorite because you can sidestep his Q pretty easily. But his entire burst is really strong. The only issue with Lucian is he's really low ranged, so you have a chance of fighting back if Lucian messes up and goes in. Kaisa, I would say, is like one of these two. I'm not sure which one to put it in because Kaisa's early game is pretty weak, but with Halo Blades she can get pretty strong. I'll put it in the skill matchup. So it's about how much you can oppress Kaisa before she starts scaling, because Kaisa's late game is better than you, but you have a stronger early game than Kai'Sa. So it's kind of a skill matchup of who gets the lead. And that is dictated by the support. And I should say this, should have said this at the start. Most bot lane matchups are dictated by the support, not the ADC. So this tier list is less useful than these two I'm gonna mix soon. So Kai'Sa is like a skill matchup. Senna, I would say, is like one of these two. Because Senna is really easy to face. The only issue is she runs Glacial Augment, which is slow. Her E is really annoying, but it's really easy to dodge her Q. Her W is also pretty easy to dodge. Her ult is also pretty easy to dodge. Jinx would probably go when Kalista wins. The only time Jinx would win is if your support doesn't have enough burst to kill her with you before she starts like getting lethal tempo and minigun attack speed. So it's like one of these two. But I'll put it on the right side of Kalista wins. Kog'Maw Kalista always wins against, really. There's not much Kog'Maw can do. He's just too weak. His E is strong. I just put him here. His E is strong, but Kalista is just stronger, really. Vayne would probably be skill matchup. Because Vayne's stronger solo, if you can 2v2, you win. But if it's a 1v1, Vayne pretty much always wins post 6. Jhin is like... This is the best part of Kalista. Kalista hard counters Jhin. Even if he's the most broken ADC right now, Kalista is a really good counter to Jhin. This is one of the main reasons anyone should put their time and effort into Kalista. Kalista destroys Jhin. The same goes for Aphelios as well, but kind of. I'll put Aphelios like here. Because Aphelios' Gravitum gun is pretty strong, and if the Aphelios is really good, it'll be pretty hard to win. But overall, Kalista is just stronger. Swain, it'll be Kalista favorite, but the issue is Swain has a lot of burst, and it's hard to compete against that when you're also a bursty champion. Caitlyn would probably be like enemy favorite, but I won't say it's loses. Most Kalista players would put it here, or like, yeah, somewhere around here, because Caitlyn's really annoying, but it's really easy to dodge her skills. She's literally immobile almost, and you can easily trade against her in the early game as long as the enemy support isn't too oppressive. So if the enemy is like Brand or like Annie, it might get difficult, but overall it should be easy to face Caitlyn. I'll put her like here. Oh no, I meant here. Sorry, Caitlyn's easy to face. Yeah. Sivir would be probably here as well, because her E, if timed well, can mitigate your entire E damage. She can spell shield your ultimate, but overall, for damage, attack range, burst, everything, she's really weak. The only good thing about Sivir is she's good late game, but Sivir is like really weak. I'll just put her in here. To be honest, it's a really easy matchup. Xayah is also really easy. I'll put her here because you can easily kite around her feathers and make them pretty much useless. Ezreal, I would say enemy favorite, because even if you can like oppress him, make him like, you know, not be able to walk up, he can still farm with Q and he will outscale you. There's not much you can do about it. But he's not good with ganks. He's not good with that many supports. He just prefers more passive scaling supports like Yuumi or Seraphine. So overall, Ezreal, he can delay his scaling pretty well, and that's how Ezreal's playstyle is. There's not much you can do about it. Now Twitch, it depends on AP or AD. If it's AP Twitch, I'll probably put it as enemy favored, but if it's AD Twitch, I'll put it as skill. Because AP Twitch, his W still becomes stronger, and he has more burst. But AD Twitch, even if he's weaker in the early game, it's easier to kill him. Because, like, oh yeah, he's weak in the early game. What am I saying? Yeah, he's weaker in the early game as AD Twitch. So it's easier to kill him and stop him from scaling. So I am gonna put him here because I think AD Twitch is gonna be more viable than AP next patch because of all of the crit item changes. Varus, now I haven't faced that many Varuses. I'm not particular because Varus used to go lethality. I'll play it as Kalista favored because his ult speed got lowered, and he's not that strong really. So this is the final tier list. So Jhin is literally the easiest matchup to face. Then I would say it's Kog'Maw. I'd put Jinx. I'd put Aphelios, Jinx, and then Sivir. Oh, like this, yeah. Jhin is easiest, and it's Jinx followed by Caitlyn, Senna, Varus, Swain. I'll put Xayah a little like this. I'll put it like this. This is better, yeah. And then from Swain, it's Vayne, Twitch, Kaisa. I'll actually put Twitch here. Like this, yeah. Twitch, Kaisa, Vayne. Then it's Lucian. Then it's Ezreal. I'll put Lucian here. Ezreal, Lucian, Samira. Yasuo, Draven. And then the hardest for 3 champions, Misfortune, Tristana, Ashe. There's not much you can do against these champions because they're really easy to play and like they're just gonna do everything better than you. So if you're facing these as Kalista, it's best if you just like dodge or not pick Kalista because they're easy to play. They don't have that much of a skill ceiling, yet they're just better overall. So yeah, this is a pretty good tier list. Next up, support tier list. This will be for what support you want on your team with Kalista. So what champion synergize really well with Kalista. So let's get the powerhouses out of the way. Where's Alistar? And I would say these are literally like the best supports you can ever ask for with Kalista, because the thing about most of these champs is they don't have a very reliable gap closer. I guess Galio has a pretty good gap closer. Thresh needs to hit a hook. Alistar's W range is pretty small. Braum needs to W an ally. Nautilus needs to hit a hook. But when any of the champions get in range, they're just crazy. And their ult really helps with that. So these 5 champions, absolutely insane with Kalista. I highly recommend. Oh yeah, and I'll put Rell here as well. So if it's on the left side, it's the strongest. On the right side is the weakest. So I would put like Braum and Galio on the right side. Yeah, I'd say this is a pretty good tier list. I should probably explain why Rell is especially good, because Rell is a new champion. Her ult is pretty good with Kalista because not because it works as counter ult or anything, because that's not how it works. It doesn't pull all the time. But Rell can ult in W from horse form to armor form for the knock-up, stun, and then follow that up with her ult. That is like 5 to 6 seconds of CC, and most of it is you can't do much about it. It's 2 knockups. I don't know what her ult would be. It's like a displacement, but it's not a knockup and a stun. So Rell's really good with it. I might put Alistar up higher up, because Nautilus is so picked and banned, it might be hard to get Nautilus. But Nautilus is better than Alistar. But Alistar is just easier to get. Past these, I'd put Swain up here. Swain is the only mage I would put really high up because he likes being in the middle of fights. Morgana I would put at almost as high, but not really, because Morgana does a similar thing. He likes being in fights, but she isn't as tanky as Swain, so it's not as reliable. Let's see. Rakan would be very high up. I would actually put Rakan like here. Rakan is very strong with Kalista. Highly recommend playing Rakan. Taric I would put like here, because Taric has no mobility. Her ult helps with Taric. It also helps Taric land really good stuns pretty easily. Blitzcrank is also really good because if you have comms with the Blitzcrank, you can ult on his hook and pull the enemy straight to you, which is absolutely amazing if it's a marksman and absolutely terrifying if it's an assassin or a tank. So this is like a double-edged sword, but it's still really good if you can make it work really well. Leona would also be high up, but I would say her synergy with Kalista isn't that good. She's strong because she's Leona. I think that's a good way to put it. Pyke would be really good as well. I'll put Leona at the end of A tier, or maybe even B tier. I'll put A tier actually. Lulu would be the only enchanter I'll put in A tier because Lulu's just really good with almost any champion in the game that builds attack speed. So every champion excluding Jhin, basically. Tahm Kench would be decent with Kalista. I can't say it's really good because he doesn't really need the Devour to stay alive. But Tahm Kench could really use the ult. Because if Tahm Kench eats someone, Kalista can ult them back. It's like Blitzcrank but more reliable because the target is easier to choose even if it takes longer. So I'll put him in like low B tier. Tahm Kench is just not good right now and he never will be in solo queue. That's just how it is. And most of these champions are pretty bad with Kalista. I'll put Pantheon here. Pantheon would be stronger. Like I would put him in S tier if he wasn't nerfed. He can't tank tower shots. He doesn't have a good support item to work with. He has to build Eclipse. And building Eclipse as a support is not particularly good because it's quite expensive. They're literally buffing support items that cost 2,500 gold because support item mythics are just too expensive for supports. So yeah. Pantheon, if he had a good 80 mythic support item, I would put him higher, but he's B tier for now. Bard would be really good because if Bard ults, you can ult Bard into the enemy team very easily because it's a really easy setup. They're in stasis. What are they gonna do? Put him like here. Yuumi is garbage. I'm actually gonna put a special tier just for Yuumi because Yuumi's just bad. Because Yuumi is terrible. I don't know why C and D are like that. Yeah, Yuumi's terrible. Just forget about Yuumi. Never play with a Yuumi ever in your life, ever. That's not a good color. Make it like green, I guess, because Yuumi's garbage. And then all of these are like mages. Maokai goes AP, but I'll put him in C tier, I guess, because Maokai has really good engage, but he doesn't synergize particularly well with ult because Maokai's going AP support right now. Because there's not that good of a tank mythic for Maokai. Lockets, I guess, decent. Aurelia's too. And then all of these supports are really bad. Let's see. So what's the worst here? I would say Soraka would be the worst with Zona. Zillion's actually pretty nice. Annie is also pretty nice because Annie's just really strong. Her Kalista ult would be really good with Annie to give a good enough gap closer to ult. Lux would probably be high D tier. Nami would probably be high D tier as well. I meant Nami. I'll put Vel'Koz a little lower actually because the thing about mages like Vel'Koz, Brand, Xayah is that they're just champions on their own. They don't really provide much because like they're just poke champions. They don't actually do much for the ADC. Janna would actually be really good. I'll put Janna like up here because Janna gives 80. Imperial Mandate's really good right now. Senna, I'll probably put here. Seraphine, I'll also put like around here. Karma would actually be a little higher. Yeah, this is a good support tier list for Kalista, to be honest. So if you get any champion in these two tiers as your support, you're pretty much just won. You have a really good support. B tier, decent support. C, think about it for a second. D, you should probably not be playing Kalista. And the Yuumi tier. You never play Kalista when you get a Yuumi. That's just asking to lose the game. I know there's a bunch of champions in D tier, but there's nowhere else they really fit in. Mages just don't work with Kalista. Same for enchanters. And this is going to be the matchup tier list for supports. What supports just counter Kalista? So, let's get this out of the way. Nautilus just wins. There's nothing Kalista can do against Nautilus. If the enemy locks in Nautilus, you might as well just AFK FF15. FF10 actually, they're adding that feature. Alistair would also be really good. Pantheon would also be really good. Because they all have point and click CC. I would put Alistar and Nautilus higher than Pantheon because they're all knockups, and you can't cleanse knockups. There's really nothing you can do about it. And easy to hit crowd control. Who do we have? Bard's auto attacks are pretty annoying, and the portal sets up for really good ganks. So in the mid to late game, Bard is definitely strong against Kalista. I'll put him in high A tier actually. He's not that strong. Senna is also kind of strong against Kalista. Taric's really easy to beat. Soraka's really easy to beat. Tahm Kenchi's kind of easy. Only reason I'm putting it in B tier is because if it devours whoever you're stacking spears on, it might like screw you over. Because if you have a stack on the minion and your E, it'll only hit the minion and your E will be on cooldown. Maokai I would put like slightly higher because he has really strong slows, keeps your support and you out of bushes, and his E is basically like a mini ward because it lasts for like 60 seconds or something. It damages whoever comes in, so it's pretty strong. Lulu I would also put in like A tier. Annie would probably go S tier. Point and click CC, remember. Absolutely terrifying for Kalista. Point and click CC is never good for her. Seraphine would probably be really easy to beat. I won't put her in D tier because her poke is actually really strong and Imperial Mandate's also really strong. Morgana is actually really strong against Kalista because her Black Shield completely counters her ult. Kalista ult does 0 damage, and your support can't destroy the shield before ulting because your support's sucked inside you. So yeah, it's just kind of unlucky if they pick Morgana. I might put her S tier, but I'll put her in like high A tier, I guess. Galio would be pretty easy to face. I'll put him in like high B tier actually. Rakan is pretty easy to face as well. She's really mobile, so you can't stay in fight for a long time, so I'll put him in low B tier. Rell is pretty easy to face. She's really immobile after her initial all-in, so I'm gonna put him in high C tier. I haven't faced that much Rell as Kalista, so this ranking is really just predictions. Don't take my word for it. Janna would be like high B tier actually because Imperial Mandate's good, point and click slow. Slows are really strong against Kalista. And the shield is quite strong because if she times it right, because it's a decaying shield, it's going to be stronger at the start. Kalista's E damage will just be completely mitigated if she times it right. Braum is also really strong against Kalista because his E and his W and his ult slows, his Q slows. I actually put him in like A tier actually. Karma would also be like high B tier because she has a very consistent amount of damage with a very consistent shield. Yuumi would be like C tier. I would usually put her in D tier, but because it's hard to target Yuumi by herself without good CC, it can be hard to face Yuumi at times. But overall, Yuumi is really easy to face. Sona's really easy. Lux is really easy. Zilean could be kind of... Zilean's actually really hard because if he E's you, you're kind of screwed over. Brand is really easy. I'm actually gonna put Brand in D tier as well. Which I'll do it like this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Nami I would probably put in between Brand and Lux because she slows a lot, but she's still not that strong because her Q is really hard to land. Xerath would just go here because Xerath can't hit anything on Kalista. What's he gonna do? Thresh would be like high C tier, same as Rell. The only reason Thresh could be like B or A tier is if the Thresh is really good with the Lantern and the jungler or mid laner, whoever's roaming. Pyke would be like B tier, C tier, I'm not sure. Pyke is a little harder to rank. I'll put him in high C tier actually. Blitzcrank, really easy to face. There's not much Blitzcrank can do against you. The only tank to actually be in D tier because Blitzcrank really doesn't do much against Kalista. Xayah would be like B tier because her plants are really oppressive. There's not much you can do about it. Her plants are really good for resetting if you want to get free damage in, but Imperial Mandates is really strong. There's not much you can do against. I'll put Nami a little higher than actually because Imperial Mandate's quite strong. Swain would probably be like D tier as well because it's hard for Swain to land E. Leona would be like mid B tier. Vel'Koz would also be D tier because Vel'Koz can't really hit anything. So, oh, sorry about that. So these are the champions that are hardest to face on the top left and the easiest to face on the bottom right. So if there's a Nautilus, Alistar, Pantheon, or Annie support, there's literally nothing you can do against them because they just win. They have point and click crowd control very early on. Okay, Nautilus maybe not, but Nautilus's CC is really easy to hit. Also, I didn't include a lot of supports here, like I didn't include Shaco, Shen, Set, there Nico, Nidalee. I didn't include a lot of supports, but any support who is like literally by definition meant to be a support is in here. So yeah. If there's Morgana's a pretty strong counter because of Black Shield. Bard's a pretty strong counter because his auto attacks can slow, which is really point and click CC. But it's only easier to face because I'll actually put Bard in lower tier. It's easier to face because Bard's slows start coming in really late game. Senna is really oppressive as support. There's not much you can do. Senna ADC is easier because Senna focuses more on CSing, which gives you more opportunities to go in. Maokai is pretty hard to face because slows and damage. Lulu has a lot of slows. Braum has a lot of slows. So this is like point and click CC area. This is slows area, and this is just overall too tanky and hard to kill or mobile area. So Janna's really mobile. Karma has a lot of shields. Tanky, tanky, tanky. Not much you can do. Slows, mobile, and just a lot of damage because Imperial Mandate. Pyke is pretty easy to face because his E is almost impossible to hit. Rell is easy to face because she's immobile. Thresh is easy to face because his hook is pretty easy to dodge. Taric's pretty easy to face because immobile. Seraphine's easy because immobile. Yuumi is just dog shit really. But the only reason she's in C and not D tier is because you can't focus Yuumi individually. Nami is pretty easy, but Imperial Mandate makes it a little harder. Blitzcrank never hits a hook, so too bad. Good luck. Swain never hits E. Brand is really easy to dodge. Same for Lux, Vel'Koz, Xerath, and Sona and Taric are just super weak. You just build executioners and their champion sucks. This was a pretty long video. My throat hurts from talking. But yeah, I hope this helps you choose Kalista or not choose Kalista, depending on who your support is, who the enemy ADC in support is. And this is just for support and ADC. Their jungler can make a difference, their mid laner can make a difference, but these tier lists should give you a general idea of what's good and what's bad for Kalista. If you see hard CC that is point and click or very mobile champions who can catch up to you, you probably shouldn't play Kalista, and vice versa, you pick Kalista. So yeah, hope this helps, and I'll see you guys later. Yeah, see ya.